some kind of showing of what looks like, a serial killer type
Okay,
photo.
so maybe you can tell me which ones you intend to be using, and then I can think about it. And I guess the question is, when are you going to be doing this? Because I'm just getting this now. I have to look through, at them. I have to think about it.
You should know that we've provided these posts to Mr. Deacon a week ago.
Back before the pre-trial.
Okay, and so I'm not faulting you. I'm just saying that just to give me a little time to get ahead of this, since I'm just getting it this minute.
I mean, I certainly want to use the first one where she says, I'm the kind of friend who will help you hide a dead body.
Okay.
But if you betrayed me, just remember, I know how to hide a dead body.
So what else?
And then a number of these other ones. There's she has a.
Can you just show me? Can you just go through the pages? Just I don't know if you can actually just tell me which
The
pages.
second one, my life insurance.
Okay, hold on.
policy.
Wait a minute. You don't need to read them all. Page 2, my life insurance policy. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Page 882.
Yes.
Page 890.
Okay.
891.
Okay.
Page 969.
Okay.
To 960.
9 what?
960.
960.
To 983.
960. Okay. I'm sorry, but we don't have anything scheduled today. Is that it?
I think. No, I think I said 970.
Okay, that's what I was unclear about. 970, not 960.
Right.
Okay.
983.
Okay.
1032.
Okay.
Hmm, 1014.
1014.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Now, again, I'm not suggesting I want to use all of them, but
Okay, so that's it.
among those.
Okay. And so, Mr. D, I mean, frankly, I would have appreciated this in the form of a motion in limine.
I apologize, Your Honor. I was, it was a mistake on my part, and it should have been, particularly as, Your Honor, the Commonwealth's position will be that if defense counsel is allowed to impeach her with those Facebook posts, there are other Facebook posts that I would like to use to rehabilitate her. I didn't seek in her testimony, there's a large number of Facebook posts that she posted about Bella, pictures throughout Bella's life, from the time she was an infant till the time she was close to 2.5, where she posted a picture of Bella and wrote something very touching about her. Because of the court's ruling on the motion to introduce one photo, I thought that probably that was not going to be allowed. But I think if defense counsel wants to paint a picture of her as hard and unafraid, then I think pictures of her as a loving mother would be necessary to round out the picture of who this person is.
And that sounds like you may very well be entitled to it. That isn't a grounds necessarily to exclude these posts.
I understand, Your Honor. My argument is that those posts are far more prejudicial than probative. It's obvious these are internet memes that people put up to be funny, to express something. To go from those to saying that she actually is someone who's unafraid, because as we all know, if you're Facebook posting from your phone, you're usually alone or with friends and you put things up on the phone. To say from that that she is fearless, I think is a stretch way too beyond what logic will bear. That's my argument for excluding them, that they have extraordinary potential for undue prejudice and virtually no probative value.
The undue prejudice meaning that the jury will think that she actually agrees with some of these things.
Right, or acted in conformity with them. That her actions, subsequent actions, were in conformity with internet memes that she posted on Facebook a year or so earlier. I think that's a stretch of logic that's, I would argue, it actually sort of, it's not just a stretch, it snaps under the weight of that analysis and shouldn't be allowed. And, I think the undue prejudice is tremendous, because it suggests that she has because she puts these up on Facebook, she will act in conformity with those posts. And I think that's hugely prejudicial to her and the case, with virtually no probative value.
Well, except that one of the issues in the case has been her state of mind at the time and her expressed fear of the defendant, yes, and inability to get away from him. Yes. She felt under his thrall or whatever. These, to the extent they're in the same year or two, not necessarily directly coinciding with that period, but suggests a pretty tough-thinking person.
I think they may suggest a tough-thinking person when she's by herself with her cell phone posting on Facebook. I don't know how relevant that is to the question of how she would react in real life to a threat against her. It's not that I don't take the court's point at all, but I think for every piece of evidence, even impeachment, there's a balance between probative value and prejudice. And I think to say that people who post things on Facebook, post tough-minded things on Facebook are in fact tough, I think a common experience tells us there's no correlation between.
But she can explain that. I mean, that could go to how the jury should an argument as to how the jury should consider it.
And I take that point. And then if Your Honor rules that way, then what I'm saying is I think it's also fair to show the other side of her in her Facebook posts, okay, and how she thinks about her daughter. If defense counsel wants to make the point that she's lying when she said she was afraid, I think it's fair for us to show that she's telling the truth when she said she loved her daughter very much, particularly where they are also pointing at her as a third-party culprit.
Okay, so Mr. Shapiro, I'm leaning toward allowing. Let me just say, I'm leaning toward allowing this in, but Mr. Deegan has said he will then offer these other Facebook posts. Any comment about that?
Which I'd like them to provide us with.
Okay, so you need to.
They've all been provided in discovery, Your Honor.
Well, maybe you need to highlight the particular
Will
ones
do.
you're seeking to introduce. So we have the jury waiting. Is the first order of business to get the person regarding the weights up
Yes,
first?
Your Honor.
Why don't we do that? Go ahead and get underway. I take it you have some cross-examination before you're going to be getting into this?
Yes.
Okay, so if you could just give me the heads up as to when you're going to get into that, then either we're going to take a break or I'm going to bring you to sidebar, but it'll give me a little bit of additional time to think about things and not delay the jury. So we'll bring the jury down. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I just want to make sure everything's okay and that nothing's happened overnight to affect your ability to be fair and impartial. More specifically, that you follow my instructions not to talk about this case, haven't heard anything about the case, haven't done any independent investigation. And if all those things have occurred and you follow my instructions, I just ask you to raise your hand. Okay, thank you. So we're, Mr. Deegan, as I understand it, we're going to call a witness out of order, is that right?
Thank you, Your Honor, and I appreciate the court's consideration in that. The people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts call Emil Tretino.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're doing this just because this individual has flown in from out of state, so we're interrupting Ms. Bond's testimony. I understand it's going to be fairly short, but it is to accommodate him.
We stand right here, face the clerk, raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear the testimony you shall give this court and jury, the issue now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I don't know if this will be a problem for you. You have that microphone, but you will need to speak up so that the
Okay.
juror at the very end can hear you. And just so keep your voice up.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Trentino, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jurors and spell both your first and last name for the court reporter?
Emil Trattino, Emiltraettino.
And where do you live, Mr. Trentino?
York, PA, York, Pennsylvania.
How long have you lived in York, Pennsylvania?
Since 1966.
Do you work?
I just recently retired.
How recently?
March 31st
Of this year?
of 17, yes.
And where did you retire from?
York Barbell Company,
And what is the York Barbell Company?
manufacturer, used to be manufacturer of weightlifting equipment. Now they're just a distributor since like 2004.
And when was the company founded?
I don't know exact date, but it was in like the 30s, 1930.
When did you start working at York Barbell?
1966 or 1976, March.
I should also ask, is York Barbell located in York, Pennsylvania?
Yes,
And how old were you when you went to work for York Barbell?
18.
And what were you doing when you went there at age 18?
Hanging weights on the paint line to be painted and packed.
And just so the jury understands, where were the weights actually made?
They were manufactured about like 10 miles away at a foundry, and then they would be trucked in to be painted and packed.
Is that a steel foundry?
Yeah, castings.
Okay. Oh, I guess it's cast iron.
Yeah, cast iron.
And were you involved in the actual manufacture, the casting, the iron casting?
No.
So once the weights were cast, what would you do with them?
We would hang them on a paint line, and then when they were dry, they would get packed.
So they were painted after they were cast?
Yeah,
With what kind of paint?
just like lacquer, basic. It was a big tank that they dipped in, and then when they came around, they went through some heat, and then when they were dry, they put them in a box.
What color was the paint?
Black.
So they would look black when they were
Yep,
dry.
it was all black.
And then what happened to them? What would you do with them after they were painted and dried?
Pack them in a box.
How long did you do that job?
Probably about a year and a half.
And then what did you do?
And then I went to like shipping and UPS type, sort of shipping aspect.
And what was your role in shipping?
Just to pull orders to go on, to get shipped out to places.
How long did you do that?
10 plus years maybe.
And then what did you do?
And then I went back to be in charge of the paint line.
Okay, so then you were supervising
Yeah.
the work that you had done when you joined the company?
Yeah, then I went back there till about 2003.
And what happened in 2003?
They decided not to manufacture in York, and they went like to China, and a guy in Canada bought the place, so there's a foundry in Canada now, and then the product from China is already packed when it comes in.
And in 2003, when that happened, what happened to you?
I was laid off
For how long?
a year.
And then what happened?
Then I went back in 2004 to run a warehouse project.
What's the warehouse project?
It was a big Dick's Sporting Goods distribution project. Lasted about a year, and then I took over purchasing and safety, and just kind of progressed from there.
And you did that until this year?
2 or 3 years ago, I actually took back on the warehouse manager role, so I was actually running the warehouse too, purchasing and doing some safety.
And in the course of your 41 years at York Barbell, did you become familiar with the product line, like the items that were sold and distributed by York Barbell?
You basically had to, you didn't have any choice but to pay attention to stuff.
Have you had a chance, were you asked in connection with this case originally by the Massachusetts State Police to look at some barbells?
Yeah, I think it was like 2 years ago, if I remember correctly.
I'm going to show you some items, if I may approach, Your Honor. I'm going to show you an item that's been labeled I for identification. Have you seen that barbell before? And feel free to turn it over.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of it, number 10.
And are you able to tell the jury whether that is a York barbell or not?
The picture that I saw, I can't even really tell on this one, but it was called billiard barbell.
And you can feel free to remove that from the plastic bag so it would help you to look at it.
No, I can see it. I saw the picture of it. That, as far as I know, was not made by York Barbell.
And how is it that you know that?
Because York Barbell always put York Barbell in there.
And what does this one say?
It says billiard.
And are you familiar with that product line, Billard or Billiard?
I heard of it back in the day, probably in my early days, like late 70s, early 80s. I heard the name, but I don't know who made them. There was a lot of competition at that time.
I'm going to show you two more barbells that have been listed, that have been marked with identification J and K. Have you seen these barbells before?
Yeah, I saw pictures of the 25s. These are 25s. They used to say York Barbell and 25.
And I'm going to show you, this is item K. Have you seen that one before?
Yeah, it looks like the same type of plate. York Barbell, 25. Same size, same casting.
So, and did you have a chance to look at all three of these barbells last evening?
Yeah.
And it's hard to find
Yeah,
out.
I know. You're getting a workout.
So be careful because I'm laying these two here
No,
so
I
you
know.
can look at them. Are you familiar with that? First of all, from what you can tell, well, let me ask you this. Are you familiar with the casting, that type of casting on the York 25-pound barbell?
Yeah, when I saw this picture at first, 2 years ago, that was the casting that when I first started there, that's what we painted.
So that's a casting that you're familiar with. You painted that casting starting in 1977?
76, I actually pulled these out of a crate, 100 in a crate, and hung them on the paint line.
And just to be clear, when you say these, you're not necessarily speaking about those specific
No,
barbells,
yeah,
but that
this
casting.
style casting, yes.
And do you know whether that type of casting was made before you came there in 1976?
I assume that, but I don't know that.
And how long was that casting used to manufacture York barbells?
Up until 2003, till the foundry closed.
And when the foundry closed, you said that the York barbells were then made overseas?
Yeah, and it changed.
So 25-pound weights made after 2003 would look different from those?
Yes.
Do those appear to you to be from the same casting?
They appear to be, yes.
Let me ask you just one small detail question. In each of those weights, there are little pock marks, almost like little divots, where the weight is almost a little dug out a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that
That's
pock marking?
That's common when you cast with the sand. When a mold is cast, they're going to have holes. You know, when they used to come in, they would be patched with some kind of metal. You know, mix some kind of patch with water and fill them in.
Was that done at the foundry or at your
At
shop?
the foundry.
So when they came, how did you know they were patched when they came?
You could see like a patch mark where somebody filled a hole And you'll see them today too. I mean, even they're filled in China just the same way.
And why is it that when people buy new barbells, they don't see those patch marks anymore?
Because they wouldn't be happy, but you want them to be flat.
But I mean, why is it that if they're routinely patched, why don't we see them when we buy weights?
They're covered with paint.
So the paint actually covers so you can't see
Yeah,
the
you
patching.
still might see it. You can maybe tell it was patched, but
And over time, what happens to the patches?
it can fall out. I mean, in time, I don't know.
And were these barbells, from the time 1976 when you started until 2003, barbells of that casting, were they sold individually, in sets, or both?
Probably both. I mean, we packed them 4 to a pack and 2 to a pack, but you could buy one from when I was in shipping. Somebody could buy one, and they came in a set too.
What kind of set did they come in?
A 160-pound set, you would get 2 25s with a 110-pound set. So we would actually take a 110-pound box, a bar, and 2 25s and make a set.
And what would have been in the 110-pound set?
4 of each, like 4 10s, 4 5s, 4 2 1/2s, 4 1 1/4s, and maybe a pair of dumbbell bars.
Would there also be a bar to put them on?
That would be separate, but it would be a 5 or 6 foot bar.
And looking, by the way, were serial numbers put on those weights? In other words, was each one individually marked with a unique serial number?
I don't believe so, no.
And are there any records that anybody keeps that could identify a particular barbell and where it was shipped to or sold?
I couldn't say about that. I don't think so.
Looking at those two weights, the two barbells that are next to you, they are J and K, I think.
J and K.
J and K. Looking at exhibits J and K for identification, which are barbells, in your opinion, could those have been sold as part of the same set? Could they?
It could be.
And I understand, just to be clear, you're not saying that you could tell if they were from the same set.
No, I couldn't tell.
But could they have? Is there anything about them that suggests to you that they couldn't have been part of the same set?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Trentino.
Yes, good morning.
Mr. Trentino, how many photographs were you shown in connection with your examination of weights?
I think it was maybe 1 or 2 photographs. I'm not sure. It was a 25 and a 10 or 2 25s and a 10. I don't remember specifically.
Well, weren't you also asked about a 35-pound weight?
I don't remember about a 35. There might have been a 35, but
Well, do you remember telling the police officer who you dealt with that York Barbell did not manufacture a 35-pound weight?
if there was a picture of a 35 that I saw and it wasn't made by York Barbell, in my opinion, I may have said that. I don't remember. It was 2 years ago.
Mr. Trentino, I'm going to put a document on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that to just read it to yourself, paragraph 4?
Okay.
And I'm also going to ask you to just read over on the next, the follow-up of that paragraph on the next page. Just read that to yourself.
What, 5 or
No.
the continuation of the?
The rest of paragraph 4.
Right, okay.
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 Okay, so having shown you that, does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not the state police officer who you dealt with had inquired of you about a 25 and a 35-pound plate?
He may have inquired about it, but I don't remember seeing a picture.
Okay, so, but you do remember him inquiring?
Yeah, if I entered that statement, he must have asked me that.
Okay, and do you recall telling him that York Barbell never sold a 35-pound weight?
That'd be correct.
And is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you met with the assistant district attorney or whoever yesterday, you weren't shown a 35-pound weight, were you?
No.
Now, you were asked whether you could tell whether the two 25-pound weights that you were shown, exhibit J and K, came from the same casting,
Probably the same mold.
same mold.
Yes.
But how many of these weights, let's say how many 25-pound weights, would have been manufactured back in 1976 or 1977 or whenever by York Barbell?
A lot.
Are we talking hundreds of thousands?
Probably thousands. I don't know about hundreds of thousands.
Okay,
In the thousands.
okay. And here we're talking about 25-pound weights.
Yes.
And where were the weights marketed?
All over the U.S. and overseas too. I mean, they were sold everywhere.
Okay. And when you were, so you couldn't tell, let me ask you this, how long would a mold be used?
As far as I know, this mold was used from before I started and until 2003, as far as I know.
Okay. So when you say that they were cast from the same mold, you're saying that these weights could have been actually cast anywhere from 1977 or whenever, or even before that, up until 2003.
Yes.
And would you say that, thousands of these weights were manufactured each year?
I would say so.
And so if we multiply that by however many years, we're talking, approximately
Yeah.
for 30 years, we're talking a whole lot of weights.
Mm-hmm.
And you also said that these weights are sold individually?
Yeah, they were sold as eaches, not in pairs.
Okay. And there's no way that you can tell whether these two weights, exhibit J and K, were manufactured the same year?
No
Correct.
way, no.
Or whether they were sold together?
Yep, I can't say.
Or whether they were sold as part of a set? Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. I have no further questions.
So I'm sorry, you just have to answer yes or no for the court reporter there?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Trifino, just to clarify a few things, other than this 10-pound weight that was made by Billiard or Billard, when you came last night to prepare, were you shown any weights that weren't made by York?
You had a 50-pound weight.
Okay. Other than the 50-pound weight, were you shown any weights that?
No.
Okay. And just to be clear, do you have the same sort of familiarity with the product line of Billiards or USA barbell or anything that you have with York barbell?
I don't understand.
Are you familiar with your competitors' processes and
No.
moldings in the same way that you are with York?
No.
And just to be clear, the barbells that I've asked you to look at today, they are both how much? They weigh how much?
25 pounds apiece.
JK, and they're manufactured by?
They seem to be York barbell.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you, sir. Step down your
Thank you.
Just be careful about those
I'm
barbells.
gonna be very careful. You need me to help you?
No, don't worry, I'll take care of that. Hold on, Officer Payne, you make that move, please.
So are we ready to have Ms. Bond resume the witness stand
I think so, Your Honor.
for
Thank you.
cross-examination? So, Mr. Shapiro, before you get started, the court reporter is just going to get set up here. Ready? Okay. Okay, I think we're ready.
Good morning, Ms. Bond.
Good morning.
Again, I'm going to ask you to speak up into the microphone so everybody back here can hear you, okay?
Yes,
And also just remind you that you remained under oath.
yes.
Now, Ms. Bond, had you ever been in Michael McCarthy's father's plumbing shop in Quincy?
At one point, yes.
When was that?
I want to say the first time I ever go there was sometime in July.
Okay, and what was the occasion for going there?
The first time we went, I think he was just leaving a message for his father or something on the desk.
Well, you say the first time you went. Was there any other time that you went?
Yes, there was another time he was, I think this is maybe towards the end of July, he was taking copper from his father.
So, you went there first at some point in early July?
Or mid-July, maybe.
And
I'm
where
not
did-
exactly sure what date.
And where did you go when you went there?
He just went in and left a message. That was
And where were you?
in the car.
Okay. So you didn't go in.
No, I didn't go in the first time.
Was there another occasion that you went to to the shop?
Yes.
And when was that?
Like I said, I think it was about the end of the July.
And what happened then?
He was taking copper from his father's shop to
So
sell.
he went in.
Yes, I went in with him.
Okay, and where did you go?
We went down to the basement.
And what did you do in the basement?
He had grabbed the copper he had put aside.
Okay. And took it out
It's a what that you grabbed?
Copper?
Copper.
Like, yeah, copper fixtures and stuff like
and
that.
took it out.
Yes.
Did you do anything else in the basement?
No.
Did you ever see a place in the basement where there was weightlifting equipment?
Yes,
When was that?
that's where you put the copper behind it.
Okay. Now, at some point, you told the police on September 18th that Mr. McCarthy had gotten weights from his father's shop.
Yes,
How did you know?
because I had gone there in July.
When he brought the weights?
No,
Well, how do you know those weights came from his father's shop?
because when we went there, I had seen, when I saw the weights, noticed they're the exact same weights that he had in the car.
So you noticed the number on the weight?
Oh, no, I didn't see
Number of
that.
pounds on the weight?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you notice the brand on the weight?
No, I just saw the shape of them, and they were old.
And that's all, and what, you assumed that they came there?
Yes,
Now, it's true, is it not, that, I think you testified the other day that you had surgery back in March of 2014,
yes,
and Mr. Deacon showed us, for some reason, a pretty graphic incision
the scar.
resulting from that surgery.
Yes,
And you indicated that over time that had given you problems.
some, yes.
And you also indicated that you were doing things to try to make it better.
Doing things.
Doing things to help the whatever difficulties you were having from that.
I don't understand what you mean by doing things.
Well, didn't you tell us that Mr. McCarthy had helped you with your symptoms from that surgery?
Yeah, a year later, I'd still had pain, yes.
Okay. So that's what I mean, that you were doing things to help get rid of the symptoms.
Okay.
Well, yes or no?
I really hadn't done anything. He had showed me what Reiki was and said he could perform it, and so we tried it,
And
yes.
did he?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and did you tell us that it worked?
Yes, it seemed to help, yes.
Okay, and how many times did he do that?
On my stomach?
Yeah.
I think twice.
And it's true, is it not, that you also attempted to exercise and to help strengthen your abdomen?
No, I didn't exercise.
Never exercised?
No, I walked, but that's
That's it.
on a regular basis.
And
when needed.
isn't it true that Mr. McCarthy also brought some weights over so you could do sit-ups in order to strengthen your core muscles?
No,
Never happened.
never. I didn't do sit-ups.
You didn't do sit-ups,
No. I didn't exercise.
didn't exercise.
No.
Now, I'm going to show you the exhibit which has been marked in evidence yesterday as Exhibit 39.
Yes.
And I'm going to put this on the monitor for everyone.
Okay.
You recognize that exhibit?
Yes, from yesterday?
This is the exhibit of a text from the phone, the cell phone, 857-526-2792, correct?
Yes.
And this is the one where you indicated, among other things, that Belle just told me to tell Daddy she loves you.
Yes.
And that was on June 1st,
Yes.
correct? So we know that Bella was alive on June 1st, correct?
Yes.
And this text message was sent from Dee's cell phone, correct?
Yes.
And Dee is you, right?
No.
No?
No, Dad's cell phone. He gave his welfare phone to his father for a while, and then he took it back.
Weren't you known as D?
No,
Isn't your middle name D?
nobody calls me D. I don't
It
use that
is-
middle name. Nobody knows that middle name.
Is your middle name D?
Yes, it is.
Rachel D. Bond.
Yes,
D-E-E.
yes.
And that's why this particular cell phone was called D's cell phone,
No,
because it was your cell phone that you used all the time.
no. It was Dad's cell phone. That's what it was given to me with that name.
And,
When I used it, that was already on there.
and you did use it. You told us yesterday
Sometimes,
you
yes.
used it quite a bit.
I used it sometimes.
And there was a whole series of text messages that you were shown
Yes.
by Mr. Deacon when you were in housing court.
Yes,
Mr. McCarthy was at home.
at
correct?
my house, yes.
At the apartment.
Yes.
On 115 Maxwell Street.
Yes,
And so you had the phone, you were using it, and you used it all day.
yes.
Now, yesterday, I had asked you about when you claimed to have gone to Bella's back bedroom
Yes,
on the night where you say Mr. McCarthy killed Bella. And you recall that in your statement to the police, you told the police that that the light was already on.
yes,
Well, actually,
I told-
that was your testimony here.
yes. I told him that the light was off back. Yes,
But you told the police that the light was off.
yes,
And you said that was a mistake.
yes.
Okay. Was it also a mistake on page 8? Of lines 23 to 25. And I'm just going to put this on the,
Now you're referring to a transcript of this interview, right?
Yes.
Okay.
do you see this on your monitor, Ms. Bond?
Yes, I do.
And beginning on line 19, you told the police, quote, she was running back and forth. He's like, I'm gonna go lay down and tell her to go to sleep, okay? I mean, nothing's ever happened before, so I never thought anything of it. You know what I mean? The door was open a crack, the light was off, so I figured he just, wanted it dark to put her to sleep. And that's what you told the police, right?
Yes,
So this was another occasion during this same interview where you were pretty clear and you told the police that the light was off.
yes, I
Right.
made the mistake of saying the light was off,
So
yes.
that was another mistake you made.
I made a few mistakes, yes.
Within the same 2 pages of your interview, you said 2 times that the light was off to the police, and now,
I was saying it twice.
years later, you say, oh, I had a better recollection, the light was on.
Yes, it was a very
That-
trying and
that-
traumatic
that-
experience.
that-
Yeah, I
that's
was having a
all?
hard time with it.
Okay. Now, you also told the police on lines, page 6, lines 19 to 21. You see that?
Yes.
You said he was shooting me up in the neck just so that I couldn't go anywhere.
Yes.
Now, you used to shoot yourself up in the neck, didn't you?
I had a couple times, yes.
So that was not unusual to have to take a heroin injection in your neck, was it?
No, he knew where I shot up, yes.
And you told us time after time that the injection that was administered on this night was something that you welcomed.
Yes, I did.
You wanted
The first
it.
one, yes.
You wanted it.
Yes.
He didn't force you to.
No. I was sick and from not having my Suboxone, and yes, I welcomed it, yes.
And you
unfortunately,
also said, I've been clean for 5 years after this happened, after he killed her.
I meant before that.
You meant before.
Yeah, I don't
But
even
that
remember
wasn't
that
true,
statement,
was
but-
it?
Yeah, I had been close to 5 years clean, yes.
You hadn't been clean, had you? Because you told us the other day you had been on drugs for months before this happened.
I said I used a couple times, yes.
Well,
But I wasn't full-blown using again, no.
weren't you using you were selling your medication, correct?
Some of it, yes.
And you were using coke, weren't you?
No,
And crack
no.
and heroin.
Occasionally, a couple times I had used heroin, yes.
So-
I said that.
So when you told the police that you had been clean for 5 years, that just wasn't true, was it?
Not that I had used a couple times, no. A few times, excuse me, no.
Well-
That was wrong.
You weren't clean for 5 years, were you?
No.
That was a lie.
Yes.
And you told the police that because you wanted to portray yourself as, clean and you wanted to portray yourself as somebody who wouldn't have done anything harmful to your daughter, correct?
I wouldn't do anything harmful to my daughter.
And that's how you were trying to portray yourself
Not from-
by lying about whether you had been clean.
No.
Well, then why did you lie?
I hadn't relapsed to the point where I was using. It's hard when you're an addict. You don't want to say that you are a full-blown addict again if you're not.
Well,
So no, I wasn't. I had lapsed a couple times, yes, but not relapsed.
but you hadn't been clean for 5 years, had you?
No, I had used a couple times, yes, and I admitted that. So
You didn't admit it at the time that you were interviewed by the police,
No.
did you?
no,
You-
I didn't put it like that.
You lied to the police.
I wasn't pressed for so many issues. A very general interview at the time.
Well, you volunteered this information. They didn't ask it. They didn't say, how long have you been clean, did they?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm not. I don't remember if they asked or
Shall I
not.
show you the page again?
Probably because I said I had used after. So
Should I show you the page again so you can see whether you were asked or whether you volunteered it?
if you'd like to.
Okay. The question was, okay. And you said he was shooting me up in the neck just so that I couldn't go anywhere. I've been clean for 5 years. Right?
Yes, I did say that.
Now, on Friday and yesterday, you told the jury that after you say you did CPR on Bella, Mr. McCarthy grabbed you by the neck and you blacked out, correct?
Yes.
But on page 10, lines 11 to 21, you said, all I know is when I picked my baby up, she was fucking dead. And then he snatched me by the neck and told me if I said anything, he'd kill me. He'd kill me. And he never left after that. And he said that he'd have friends outside, and he and they, excuse me, and that he's talked about it with his other friends and the shit they've done. So I had no reason to believe that those people aren't out there with a gun and waiting for me to call 911 and shoot me, you know? So I was scared.
Yes.
Now, is that what you were scared of?
I was scared of him,
Well-
that he said his friends would back him up no matter what. I was,
Okay.
yes, I was
So when he
scared.
grabbed you by the neck and threatened you, he also went on and told you some other things, right?
Now, we're talking about during the span of time. This didn't happen exactly after.
Well, didn't you say, he said that he'd have friends outside, and he and they, and he's talked about it with his other friends and the shit they've done. So I had no reason to believe that those people aren't out there with a gun and waiting for me to call 911 and shoot me. So you were afraid that there were friends outside the apartment that night?
Not that night. This is after, this interview was about the whole time after, so it wasn't that night.
Well,
It was in a succession of time after what he would say.
when do you say he said that?
After he got rid of her, and I told him, you know, this is going to come up. This isn't going to go away. And he was like, if you say anything, I'll just have you killed. And I am having you followed. And this is, you're talking about, I said this at a specific time. No, this is over time. This is over, you know, the months after of him threatening me and telling me these things.
So you now say he didn't say anything to you on the night that this happened about friends being outside?
No.
So that if you call 911, they would shoot you?
Yeah, no, that wasn't that night, no.
Okay. But you say that there were people who followed you?
He had me believing it, yes.
And did you ever see people following you?
I mean,
Did
when you
ever
walk
see-
around and you see people just looking at you and you've got someone in your ear saying, I got people following you, if you don't know who that is and you just see someone staring at you, just in general, if someone stares at you, and then you have someone telling you constantly in your ears, I have people following you, in your mind, yes, it seems like maybe somebody is following me.
Okay, so you believe people were following you?
I believed it, yes. I wouldn't not believe it. Yes.
And you thought that if you called 911, these people that you thought were following you would shoot you?
Possibly,
Well, isn't that what you said?
yes. So yes, it was a possibility.
Now, you also told us the other day that the story about how you blacked out after Mr. McCarthy grabbed you by the neck and that you regained consciousness on the couch in the living room.
Yes.
Okay, this was the first time that you blacked out that night, right?
It's the only time. Yes. It was when he
That's the only
choked me.
time that you blacked out?
No, after that I laid back down on the couch after I went to the bathroom, and then, yeah, I was out again.
All right, so you now say there were two times that you blacked out. First, when he grabbed you by the neck, correct?
Yes.
And then you regained your consciousness on the couch in the living room, right?
Yes.
And then you had a pee,
I got up. Yes.
went to the bathroom.
Yes.
Now, the bathroom is right across the door, right across the hallway from the outside door. Right?
Yes.
So the bathroom door is on the left. As you go back, the door outside is on your right.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So it's just a couple steps away, wasn't it?
Yes.
And you didn't at that time attempt to go out the door and call for a neighbor, did you?
The door didn't work anymore. I think I had said that before. And he was standing by it. He followed me to the bathroom, stood by that corner. So no, waited for me to come out of the bathroom, followed me back to the couch.
Okay, and is that what happened? You went to the bathroom, he followed you, you came out of the bathroom, you went back to the couch.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And then you blacked out again.
Yes.
And nobody did anything to make you black out, right?
Not that time, no.
He hadn't given you a shot of heroin then.
No.
And hadn't done anything else to you, right?
No, I just laid down, passed back out.
And just to be clear about it, you never mentioned either of those two blackouts to the police when you were interviewed on September 18th, did you?
I don't think, I'm not sure.
Well, remember I showed you your transcript yesterday?
Yes.
And you have read that transcript, haven't
Yes.
you? And you know that you didn't mention at any point blacking out at any time, did you?
No.
Now, you say that the next thing that happened after you blacked out the second time was that you woke up because Mr. McCarthy was sort of pushing you in the side?
Yeah, like waking me up, I don't.
Okay. And then he gave you an injection of
Yes.
heroin?
Yes.
Now, did you see him with the syringe?
At first,
Well,
like right away,
when
like
you
he
say
told me,
gave
do you want
the
this?
injec-
Yeah, I took it.
Did you see him cooking the heroin?
No.
How did you know when you first saw him with the syringe, what was in it?
It's a dark needle with heroin-looking substance. I have been an addict, so you kind of know what heroin looks like in a needle.
So you were able to see what was in the syringe?
And he told me what it
clearly
was.
enough.
Of course.
He had just threatened to kill you, you say, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So how did you know that he wasn't going to inject you with some kind of poison or give you an overdose of heroin to kill you just like he had just threatened?
I don't know if at that time I really cared if I died. Yeah.
So you were just happy to get some kind of injection which you thought might be heroin, but even though he had threatened you to kill you, you didn't care.
Yes, I was sick from not having my Suboxone, yeah, so as bad as it sounds, I'm an addict and it makes you feel better. Yes.
Now, during this time, Mr. Deacon had asked you, where was Bella? Do you know?
I don't know exactly, no.
Now, it's true, is it not, that you made up a story about where Bella was when you were interviewed by the police on September 18th, didn't you?
I told him where I thought she was.
Well, you told the police. Now, you didn't say anything about this yesterday or on Friday when you testified, did you?
He didn't ask me.
He didn't ask you.
No, he didn't ask me where Bella was, no.
Okay. But when you talked to the police back on September 18th, you told the police that it was a couple of days later that Mr. McCarthy brought Bella out of the house. Correct?
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes, I thought it was a day or two later, yes.
And you said it was like a couple of days later he brought her out.
Yes.
This is on page 16, line 5.
Yes.
And then one of the troopers said to you, did she stay on the mattress? Remember that?
Yes.
And you said he put her in the fucking refrigerator.
Yes, that's
Right?
what I thought.
That's
Yes.
what you told him.
Yeah.
And he questioned you and he said, in the refrigerator? How? And you said, I don't know, I didn't. He opened it and put her in.
Right.
So you told the police that you had seen Mr. McCarthy open the refrigerator and put Bella in.
I didn't see, I saw it. I said,
Well-
I didn't know.
Well-
I don't know. And then I said, I didn't know how. I would assume this is, how else do you put somebody in the fridge? You open it and put them in.
Yeah.
That was my response.
You didn't say you assumed that, did you?
I don't know. I didn't say that.
When you were asked about what McCarthy was doing, and you said you hadn't seen anything, you said you assumed that he was punching her because you hadn't seen him punching her, right?
I said I saw him punch her.
Well, you said you think he was punching her, right?
He was punching her, yes.
Well, when you were asked by the police, you didn't say you saw him punching her, did you?
No.
Okay. You said you assumed he was
I
punching
said I
her.
think he was punching her. He was punching her, yes.
Well, you didn't see him, did you?
I said I think he did.
You said you think so.
Yes.
But then you explained that you assumed that because you saw his hand coming back, right?
Yes. I saw her
So-
bounce off the bed. Yes.
When you didn't see something, you said you assumed it or you think it, right?
I think everybody makes assumptions when they don't know something, yes.
But here, when you're talking about the refrigerator, you said he opened it and put her in.
I said
right?
I don't know. I didn't, and then I was going to say I didn't see.
And then you said he opened it and put her in.
But there's no other way to put somebody in a refrigerator but to open it. So it's,
You didn't say that was an assumption, did you?
I said I don't know.
Did you say that that was an assumption?
I said I don't know.
Okay. Did you say that it was an assumption?
I said I don't know.
Can you answer the question?
I am answering it.
Did you say...
It wasn't an assumption. I didn't know.
Okay. But you said he opened it and put her in.
Because there's no other way to do it.
And then he asked you, was she in the bag already? Right?
Yes.
And then you said, in a plastic bag. So you said you saw Bella in a plastic bag, and you said he put her in the refrigerator. He opened it and put her in.
The first time I had seen the plastic
Is
bag.
that what you said?
The first time I had seen the plastic
Is
bag.
that what you said?
We're talking months.
So I think the question is, in that excerpt you're looking at,
Yes.
is that what you
Okay.
said?
That is what I said.
Okay.
Can I explain?
Yesterday,
It's fine.
and on Friday, you didn't say anything about Bella being in the refrigerator, did you?
No.
And Mr. Deacon didn't even ask you what had happened to Bella, right?
He didn't
But-
ask me where she was. I
but
said I
that-
didn't know. Actually, he did ask me where she was, and I said I didn't know.
Okay.
Because I
But
wasn't
back-
sure about this.
But back on September 18th, that was when you told the police she was in the refrigerator.
But I said I don't know. It's there. I don't know.
And
I'm not sure is what I
You
meant.
said-
I didn't know.
he put her in the fucking refrigerator.
Right.
Were those your words?
Yes.
Okay. Now, seeing your daughter being put in the refrigerator is not something you would forget, is it?
I didn't see it.
If that happened.
If that happened, I wouldn't have forgot. Yes.
And the story you told the police about seeing her being put in the refrigerator was as much fiction as the rest of your story.
I said I didn't know. I didn't say I saw it.
Now, after you went to the bathroom and peed, and then went back to the couch, you say you blacked out.
I passed back out. Yes.
And Mr. Deacon asked you how much time elapsed from the time you blacked out until you got up.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And you first said, I don't know.
I don't.
because you were unconscious.
Yeah.
How can you know how long you were unconscious for?
Right.
You didn't look at a clock before you became unconscious and then look at a clock when you regained consciousness, did you?
No, I didn't look at a clock at all.
All right, so why did you tell Mr. Deacon the other day when he asked you, I want to say it was like the next night?
Because like I had said before, he was supposed to get his car on a certain date, and he didn't get it. But
So
the
he
day
didn't-
he took her to the ocean, he had his car. So when he got me and brought me out to the car to get rid of my daughter, he had his car. So that's what I'm going on. He picked it up at some point. So it must have been a day, at least.
So you're saying that you're telling the jury that he killed her before his birthday, 2 days before his
He
birthday?
didn't get his car on his birthday. I think we already went through this a bunch of
Yeah,
times.
I know he went
And
through it.
it was late, and he got his, after he got his car, I was out when he got his car. I wasn't there when he got his car. I didn't even know. He brought me out, and there was his car.
Now, so you're saying you were unconscious.
Yes.
Before you became unconscious, did he have his car?
No, not that
Okay.
I knew.
Oh, so when you became unconscious, he didn't have his car?
He didn't have his car. He didn't have his car the night he killed Bella. No.
Okay, so if he didn't have his car on May 29th, then you're saying he must have killed her before May 29th.
No, that's not what I
Well-
said.
When did he get his car?
I'm not exactly sure the date he got his car. Like I told you before, he was supposed to get it on his birthday, but it kept getting pushed off. He was supposed to get it in the middle of May. Then it kept being later and later. And his father kept saying, you're going to get your car, you're going to get your car. And it went past his birthday. Whenever he got his car, I wasn't clocking his birthday either. Like, this isn't something I really cared about.
Okay.
Birthdays aren't a big deal to me unless it's my kid's birthday.
So you're telling the jury that you realized that it must have been the next night because he had his car?
Yes,
So
he must have picked it up.
So the time that you say he killed Bella, how do you know he didn't have his car then?
Because he hadn't gotten it yet.
How do you know he didn't have
Because
his
he
car
was taking
then?
my bus pass to use the bus.
When did he take your bus pass?
That morning, at least.
Well, how do you know he didn't get his car later that day?
Because I was there.
How do you know you didn't?
He didn't bring back any car. He probably would have said, I'm going to get my car. Don't you think?
Okay.
He would have
So-
taken my bus pass to go get his car.
All right. So you assumed it was the next day because
Because all of a
He had
sudden
his
his
car.
car is outside, yes.
even though
So
you
he had to have picked
realized
it up at some point.
that you
Wait,
have
hold
no...
on, wait, hold on. So, Ms. Bond, you have to, when Mr. Shapiro's speaking, you can't start speaking yourself.
sorry.
It's just too confusing.
Okay.
Okay?
So what you're telling us is you had no idea when you woke up.
No idea what.
How much time actually elapsed?
No.
Could have been 1 day,
Yes, I said it could have been.
2
one day.
days?
Could have been 2.
3 days?
I don't know about that long, but I would.
Why not?
I don't know. I could have been, yes.
Could have been 1 hour.
No. It
Why
was
not?
the middle of the night. I don't think he went and picked his car up in the middle of the
Well,
night.
When you became unconscious, when was the last time you had seen his car?
I think sometime in April he brought me to see it in a garage.
So, did he ever tell you when he picked up his car?
What do you mean, did he ever tell
Did
me?
he ever tell you that he had picked up his car?
When he brought me out to the car, that's when I seen the car that he had picked it up. So obviously he picked it up at some time.
My question is, did he ever tell you when he picked it up?
No.
But it was still nighttime, wasn't it?
It was dark out, yes, very dark.
And it was 11 or 11:30 when you say these things happen, right?
When he killed Bella, yes.
11:30, dark out, right?
Yes.
Now, you remember on page 20, line do you see that?
The highlighted part?
Yes.
Yes.
And you were asked, did he, meaning Mr. McCarthy, say how he did it?
They asked.
And
Yeah.
you said, he didn't tell me how he did it. And on the next page, you go on to,
Okay. There you go.
you go on to say, how is her head swollen like this? What did happen? And then the next question, did she? And then your answer to the police officers were, you guys did forensic. What happened?
Yeah.
And they said to you, well, I'm really more interested in what you know right now. And then you interrupted and said, I really don't know much, but I would assume that he was hitting her. What else?
Yes.
Remember that? So again, you told them that it was your assumption that he was hitting her, right?
He was hitting her, yes.
Yeah, you keep
I said the
saying
assumption,
that,
yes.
but you didn't see it, did you?
Huh?
You didn't see it, did you?
Yes, I did.
Then why did you say, I assume he was hitting her?
I was really scared in this interview. I think I've said this before. And it was a very traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no time to grieve or think about what had happened. I was very clouded by drugs after that. And it was just a really difficult thing. Talking to the police, going through all this, it was a really hard situation.
Isn't that what you say every time there's a hole in your story?
But it's the truth.
I was scared, right? You say that?
I'm sorry. Overruled.
You say that? You were scared?
Yeah, I was.
You had, your mind was cloudy with drugs?
Yes.
It was traumatic?
Yes.
So you want to explain every time there's a hole in your story, every time you say something now that wasn't true then, your simple answer is, I was scared, I was on drugs, it was a traumatic experience, I was with the police, I didn't know what was happening. That's your answer every time,
It
isn't it?
was a traumatic experience. It was scary. My head was clouded with drugs. These are truthful things, and trauma is a really difficult, hard thing to deal with mentally.
And,
It is.
and that's your explanation for every time you got it wrong, right?
It's some things I said wrong, yes. I don't know how else to explain that.
Now, on page 22, lines 3 to 7 of your statement to the police on 9/18, that's September 18th, and again, just to focus us, this is the first time you talked to the police about what happened, right?
Yes.
This is when they went and they found you at Mr. Amoroso's parents' house in Lynn, right?
Yes.
And they took you down to the detectives unit in Chelsea,
Yes.
and you saw some video clips yesterday about parts of your interview.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you were in a room on a round table, and there were two state police officers there.
Yes,
Trooper Herman,
yes,
remember him?
yes,
And Lieutenant Murphy,
yes.
and they were both there, okay? So, one of the officers asked you at that time, was he, meaning Mr. McCarthy, watching anything on the news about this or anything? Was he looking to see if anything was on the news about it? Remember that question?
I'm reading it, yes.
And you answered, oh no, he wouldn't let me pay my cable bill after that. That's what
Yes.
your testimony is, right?
Yes,
I mean, that's what you said.
yes,
But yesterday, you told the jury that, oh, you didn't have a TV because you had stopped paying it back in April.
yes,
Well, here you say that after what happened, Mr. McCarthy wouldn't let you pay your cable bill.
I don't know what I was saying by after, but that I didn't pay the cable bill since April, yes.
Well, that's not what you
So it
told the
was-
police.
I don't
was
know
it?
if I meant after, as far as after he'd killed her, or just at that time I wasn't paying a cable bill.
Again, too scared, too traumatic, too
Just the
fuzzy
verbiage
with
is different.
drugs.
I don't know what to tell you. I hadn't paid the cable bill since April.
Well, then why did you tell the police that Mr. McCarthy wouldn't let you pay the cable bill after what happened?
I don't know what the after what happened meant.
Well,
I,
the police certainly asked a clear enough question, and you gave a clear enough answer. After you say he killed her, he wouldn't let you pay your cable bill.
I didn't have a cable bill, and I didn't have it before, so after and before, yes.
Now, Ms. Bond, if it were really true that Michael McCarthy had hurt your child and then grabbed you by the neck, you would have fought back, wouldn't you?
I tried to some extent.
If that were really true, you would have fought back.
I tried to.
Well,
At first.
You didn't tell us that you had fought back, did you?
I tried to push him off. I had my daughter in my arms first. She fell out of my arms when he choked me. I tried to push him off. He's a much bigger person than I am. He overpowered me.
In your lifetime, you've learned how to take care of yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
You told us about your hard life, correct?
Somewhat.
Well, somewhat. Mr. Deacon asked you a lot of questions about how you grew up on the streets.
I've been,
That was not necessarily that she grew up on the street.
right.
Sustained.
Statement.
Did you tell us that you had been homeless and slept under bridges and outside?
I said I had been homeless. I don't know if I went into all that detail, but I said I've been homeless.
And
Yes.
didn't you tell us how you slept out on the streets?
I have slept out on the streets.
Well,
If that's homeless.
And you told us about working as a prostitute?
Yes, I have.
That's a pretty dangerous occupation, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to deal with strange men who may be aggressive, who may be abusive,
Yes.
right? And you
Yes.
have to learn how to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And you have learned how to take care of yourself, haven't you?
Yes, to some extent. It can't
And-
overpower everyone.
You also told us about being deep into the drug trade,
Yes.
buying, selling drugs,
Yes.
heroin, cocaine, crack,
Yes.
ever since you were an adolescent.
No.
In any case, the drug trade is a dangerous occupation as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So you have learned how to take care of yourself, haven't you?
Yes, to a certain extent, yes.
And when Mr. McCarthy, when you say Mr. McCarthy grabbed you, He didn't have a weapon, did he?
He had his hands.
He didn't have a knife, a gun, a club, anything, did he?
At that time, no.
And you were right there in the kitchen?
When?
Well, didn't you say that you went to pee?
After I had gotten up? Yes.
Yeah. And you had to walk right through the kitchen, didn't you?
Yes, he followed me through the kitchen, so yes.
You didn't pick up a frying pan, a knife, any kind of object to try to fight back?
How when he's right there on me? It was,
Well, you didn't try, did you?
I didn't have a chance to. No.
Now, and that's because what? You were too scared?
I was scared.
You were
I was dizzy. I was blacking out.
too traumatic,
It is a traumatic thing.
dizzy.
Yes.
Now, before this night, Mr. McCarthy had never been violent toward you, had he?
He was sometimes verbally rude, but not violent, no.
He had never hit you?
No.
He had never twisted your arm, grabbed you by the neck?
Before this night, no.
Okay. And you haven't even told us that he had even ever yelled at you, have you?
Yeah, we've had arguments.
But, and you also told us that you kind of thought he was goofy.
Yeah, when I first met him, yeah.
Well, did you stop thinking he was goofy?
Yeah, he's not goofy. He's pretty smart, actually.
Well, being goofy and smart don't rule each other out, do they?
No, I guess not.
Now, you heard his voice on the tape yesterday, didn't you?
Yes.
Everything about what he said and what he was doing at the time was caring and loving, wasn't it?
It was kind of odd, actually.
Odd.
Yeah.
Odd that he was trying to help Bella dispel the nightmares that she was having. You think that's weird?
No, odd that he was telling her, and you know, in hindsight, this really is bad for me to even have gone along with it. Odd that he was telling her to kill something, like with a gun, with a laser. She didn't, and I think I even said she doesn't know what that is.
Do you remember
That's
he
kind of an
said?
odd
Remember
thing.
he said that she should blow up their heads with love,
Yeah, but that's kind of odd. Kill them, he kept saying. That's
and you think
really
that
an odd thing.
And that seemed to help, didn't it? Help Bella.
I don't know
Okay.
if it seemed to help her so much as
Now, you have had a number of encounters in your life in which you have fought to protect yourself and others, haven't you?
yes.
Okay. No.
Is this, I think this is the subject of a motion to eliminate, so I think this is a good time to, is that right? I asked for a heads up on this. We did discuss this and I made a ruling. Is this the subject of my ruling?
Yes.
Okay, then we're going to take a break before you jump into this, since I've ruled this inadmissible. So I will take a recess and have the jury come back in about 20 minutes.
All right, please.
11:15. 11:15.
11:15, I'm sorry, 11:15, for this voir dire. The jury will have a little bit of a longer time, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Court, all right, please. Court's in recess to 11:15.
Okay, so, Mr. Shapiro, this is regard to the journal entries, and I expressed my reasons for excluding them, but voir dire might assist me and revisiting that decision. So that's why I asked for this voir dire. And we're talking here specifically about certain incidents, alleged incidents reported in the journal between her and various people in the past.
Good morning again, Ms. Vaughn.
Morning.
You were asked the other day by Mr. Deacon about a journal you kept.
Yes.
And Mr. Deacon read from that journal some of the entries, correct?
Yes.
And the entries he read were your recollection of things that had happened to you?
Yes.
Well, you read an entry about Mr. McCarthy doing Reiki.
Oh, yes.
With respect to your surgery.
Yes, that was part of it, yes.
Okay. And I think there was another entry about some things that had happened to you.
Yes.
And in your journal, you recount aspects of your life history.
When I was younger, yes.
Excuse me?
Things when I was younger, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And were these episodes that you recount true?
Yes.
And you...
I think what I'd like to do is focus in on the specific, not the childhood memories, which is one issue, but the issues with regard to encounters she's had as an adult. I thought that's what was really at issue
Well,
here.
I'm laying the foundation for that.
Okay, okay.
So when do you recall over what period of time that you kept this journal?
I had a couple different ones, I think, but one was had been the past like year or two maybe, just of certain things I remembered or nightmares I had or traumatic events.
Okay. So the entries that you read the other day were from that particular journal?
I assume, yes.
Okay. And so the other things in the journal were from, that you told us, came from that same journal?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you about a particular journal entry. This is 3031 of the Bates number. It's called Saving Gina and Police. And do you remember offhand this entry?
Maybe not exactly.
Excuse me?
Maybe not exactly.
Well,
In fact, do you want to approach her and she can read it?
No, that'd be nice.
let me just read the first line to you and see if that refreshes your recollection. Pritchard Street, I think it was number 18.
I remember now, yes.
You remember that?
I just forgot the girl's name, yes, I remember.
And so this happened when you were involved with a street gang by the name of the Vikings.
I was friends with them, yes.
And you described an incident that took place at Pritchard Street, number 18, where there was a man beating up a woman.
Yes.
And you
And I'm
went,
sorry, this is when it starts, says, when you were
I
17
was
years
18
old?
or 17, yes,
Okay.
that's what it meant.
and it describes how you went to help the woman.
Yes.
And the incident involved your picking up a free weight of 45 pounds and bashing the guy's head.
I threw it at him, yes.
So much so that they had to pull you away.
I threw it at him and I went to go throw another one, and my friend grabbed me.
And as a result of that incident, you were able to save the woman who was getting beaten up.
The woman that she lived with ended up calling the cops in the meantime, and they showed up.
Okay. And that's why the journal entry is called Saving Gina,
Yes.
because you
Wasn't-
saved Gina.
Wasn't just me, but yes.
Okay. Now, there's another journal entry where you talk about a person by the name of Sweet Pea,
Yes.
And,
Which, can you tell me the base stamp there?
yeah, 3017. This was, took place in the Bronx, New York, where this pimp by the name of Sweet Pea was trying to make you, or to put you down on the strip to work.
I think it was actually a different name. I might have gotten that messed up in the journal.
But in any case,
I think it was
Pimp was Catch.
Catch. Yeah, I don't
Catch,
think it was.
okay. Catch was trying to put you down to work on the strip. And you explained in your entry that you eventually walked away from that fight unscathed. That is, you had a fight with Catch, and that you went away from that fight unscathed. Is that
I walked
true?
away. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had to fight him off.
Yeah, we fought a little bit. It wasn't.
Can you tell me when that happened to the best of your memory?
I think it was about. I want to say. I'm not exactly. It was. I think it was after I had my son, so maybe 25. It was like right after I lost my son. I ended up out
So,
there.
about 20 years ago, is that?
Yeah, well, 18. Yeah, after I lost my son, so a
Okay,
couple
more than
years.
10 years ago.
Yeah, oh yes, yes. More than 15 probably, yes. Or 15 years ago, yes.
And you lost your son what year, do you recall?
The papers were done in 98. 98 is when they,
Okay.
yeah, he
so-
was
And
born.
you said this was sometime?
this was like, this was when I was,
Okay.
he was born 1998, yeah, it was about 99 that he was taken.
Okay.
And this is about, I want to say 2000, maybe a little, no, maybe right after
Okay,
I
so-
knew the decision was going for him to be taken.
Okay, so
Yes.
that gives me an idea.
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
All right, so that was, in that incident, you were able to fight this person off and get away.
We fought, I ran more. But
You
yes,
ran?
we fought, I ran, yes.
Okay. Now, you also described an incident, and
Well, if you can't find it, just go ahead.
all right, you were working at the Glass Slipper,
Yes,
and that was in the Boston's old combat zone.
yes.
And when were you working at the Glass Slipper?
I don't remember exactly when.
Well, to
I'm
the best
not-
of your recollection, about how old were you?
I want to say it was after the Bronx, so probably about 25, around the same, within the year period of going to the Bronx.
So it was early 2000s, is that the best you can, like 15 years
not-
ago?
Yeah, it was a very long time. It was
More than 10?
between having my son and my daughter. It was in between that period.
Okay, your daughter was born in or around 2001?
2001.
2001?
Yes.
Okay.
So in between those-
1998 to 2001,
Right.
it was in that time frame?
Yes, in that, well, 99 is when I lost my son, so in between that, those 2 years, the 3 years.
Okay.
And you recounted an incident in your journal, this is on 3055, when you came out of, and you were working as a stripper,
Yes.
and you say you came out of the strip club that you worked in, and a guy snatched me up off the street like a cop would, told me that he was a cop and picking me up for prostituting.
Yes.
In fact, it does say here, it was when I was 21. Does,
I think it was a little bit older.
Okay.
I think it was a mistake.
I told him that I had just come out of work at a strip club. He said, I'm not going to arrest you because I'm going to fuck you and then you can go. And he pulled a big old knife out. Is this all your recollection?
Yes, I remember.
This is what happened?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And you go on to describe how, despite the fact that he had pulled a knife, or because he pulled a knife, so I went along with it for a little while, got him more relaxed. Then I told him that the car was too small to do anything in. We had to get out. So he made me take one platform off. When we got out of the car, and because it was winter and the tar was frozen, so he thought I couldn't run like that. So as I agreed to put on the condom, because I agreed to cooperate with him so that he didn't have to hunt one,
hurt me.
hurt me. He started trying to put the condom on, and I smashed him with the platform shoe I had in my hand and jumped his car screaming and ran for dear life.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Yeah.
Going on page 3054, you describe another incident at the Glass Slipper where you finally decided to go out on a date with a customer.
Yes.
And you describe how this customer, too, also had you in his truck and pulled a knife.
Yes.
And
Was this around the same time period?
Yeah, I only worked there for about like 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
I didn't work there very long.
Okay.
and then you went on to describe that you said, no way, fought the shit out of him till I ended up on State Street.
Yep.
So again, you had a physical confrontation with this person who also had a knife, as a result of which you were able to get away.
Yes.
Now, do you recall another incident when you were, that you described that you were in a, this is 3049, that you were waiting in the apartment of one of your drug dealers, waiting for my dope. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I got jumped by a couple girls, a few girls.
Okay, you got jumped by, you describe here about 3 or 4,
3 girls.
and that they had brass knuckle, and that they were beating you.
Yep.
And it sounds as if they were beating you pretty badly.
Yeah, there was blood everywhere, yeah.
But you managed to pick up a 72-inch flat screen TV and throw it at them, knocking them down and allowing you to escape.
Yes.
But before you could actually get out of the apartment, there were people at the doorway who grabbed you and tried to get you back.
They were pulling at my legs, yeah.
But you were able to fight them off and get away.
The neighbor had come out and called the police and yelled it out the hallway, so yes, they ran.
But the police weren't there yet, were they?
No, but they were on their way.
But you fought the 3 or 4 girls off to get away?
I didn't really fight them. I threw the TV because it was the one time they left me alone for a second in the corner.
So, I'm sorry, can you just tell me when approximately this happened?
This was, I want to say maybe 2009. This is
2000.
way, yeah, this is a little time after. Or 2008 when I first came to Boston.
2008 or 2009?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
sorry.
And when you were able to pick up this 72 inch, now 72 inches is like an 8-foot TV screen. No, 7-foot TV screen, or maybe 6 foot. 6 times 12
6
is 72.
I think, okay,
A
well,
6 foot.
frankly, I don't care about, it was large, okay? So,
But you were able to pick it up.
Yeah, it wasn't that heavy.
Okay.
It was a
So
flat screen. It was.
it's fair to say that the entries that we've just discussed are things that actually happened to you. You wrote them down,
Yes.
and you wrote them down within a 2-year period of the time that you were living with Mr. McCarthy.
Mr. McCarthy didn't live with me for 2 years. And this was before he showed up at my house. I wrote those down.
Yeah, okay,
So it
but
wasn't the time that the 2 years he lived with me because he didn't live with me for 2
no,
years.
I didn't say that he lived with you. Within the 2-year period, some of which time you were living together, correct?
Those things were wrote before he even came to the house.
But in any case, some of the other entries were actually written that summer, weren't they?
Yes,
In fact,
but not those ones that you just read.
Mr. Deacon read some that were written on July 16th.
Yes.
Now, there were also, and at this point, we might as well go into the other entries that,
I think we, with regard to the childhood memories,
yeah,
okay, because I think we have enough for me to hear arguments about this set of entries, and for you to question about this text that we talked about at the recess, and I guess I'm just hesitant as to whether we should go on from here, but, okay, maybe it makes sense to deal with everything. The next is childhood memories, is that right? Is that what we're going to go into now?
yes.
Okay, and I did, we had a pretrial motion about this. I explained why I thought they were inadmissible. I did say that voir dire perhaps could provide some additional, or some basis for me to revisit that decision. So if you'd like to try to establish establish that now through questioning Ms. Bond outside of the presence of the jury, you can do that.
This is 3012, 3012. Ms. Bond, do you recall a journal entry that's called First Traumatic Memories Ever?
Yes.
And it's a little hard to, did you see this on your screen?
Yes, I do.
A little hard to read what's in the beginning, but it looks like one of,
Well, Frank, I'd rather not have you read all of this into the record. I'd like to see if she could read it to herself, and then...
I know it.
Okay.
I remember this memory.
Okay,
okay.
so,
Was this a memory of something that you believed happened?
Yes.
And you believe that, in this case, we're talking about a sort of a paranormal type creature that came to your room when you were a child?
No, it was, so I had talked to my sister about this, and it was actually my father. The room was tinted green, and he was huge. So as a child, I amounted him to looking like the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Not a paranormal creature, no. He was a human being, my father.
Oh, so well, you don't
He
say
just-
you don't say that in the entry, do you?
Okay,
But it's the truth. It says that,
Okay, I can read it, I've read these. She says that she's testified to what she believes actually happened.
So, just so I'm clear, what you're saying is that this is a memory, but the person that you described in the journal entry is really your father.
yeah, he was.
And
Well, in fact, I think there's something that says here from her sister.
my father.
Then she says to me, Rachelle, he was your father.
Yes, I saw that too, but it,
and when you talk about, and now we're looking at the bottom of this in this journal entry, you talk about freakishly long fingers messing with your feet. You see that?
yeah. He had big hands, and he used to put him in the crib like that, so that's all I'd see was like his hands. So it looked like they were long, but I'm not talking about an abnormal being. It was a man, a big man, with big hands.
And then on the next page, you say, one thing I remember very vividly about him was his eyes. They were pitch black with slits down the center of each one like snake's eyes.
Yes.
That's your recollection of your father?
I guess. When was this? I don't remember this part of it, but
Well, this is
and
on.
if I wrote it, I mean, yeah, that's what I assumed. Yeah,
Okay.
I made up things when I was a kid because that's how it looked as a child. It was
Okay,
scary.
It says that she was, her memories is, she was in a crib.
Right.
Okay.
It was very scary. It was a very young memory.
All right. But just so I'm clear, you're not saying that you just made this up. You say this happened, and this is how you described it years later.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you say his hands, as I can recall, were black, and there were only 3 on each hand, but they were freakishly long, like bone black fingers, like T-Rex's hands, with talons that were pretty much the same length as his fingers. So that's your childhood memory.
It's a memory dream. Yeah. This memory actually used to come to me in a dream. I talked about it with my sister because I was very young. So it wasn't something I actually remember seeing. I remember him coming into the room, and then the rest of it was kind of like a scary dream. I'd wake up from that.
Okay.
So, yeah, things go into your dreams that are different than reality. But yes, I wrote down the dream. Yeah.
There was another entry.
Which one of, which page
This
are you on?
is 3029. It's entitled Buffalo Bill Beatings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is you describe an incident where you,
But she was, you're 3 years old.
Yeah, I was very young.
where you wake up in the middle of the night and go down a corridor and see somebody in a room, and you later say that that's your father beating your mother.
I didn't say it's my father. That was her boyfriend, Bill, and we called him Buffalo Bill because he beat her. He was a big, big guy.
Okay, so it wasn't your father, it was
I didn't
your
say it was her
mother's
father.
boyfriend,
Yes.
and he was beating her.
Yes.
And you came to the door, looked in, and that's what you saw.
Yes.
Okay. And this happened.
Yeah, he used to beat her, yes.
Okay. Do you recall writing in the journal, and this is 3046. And you say, I remember everything just being black, so black that nothing could be seen through it.
Yeah, I'm reading This was a dream, a nightmare. I used to have night terrors a lot. I still do. And this was one of them. So I
So,
wrote it down.
did this happen?
No, this is a dream.
This is a dream.
Night terror, actually.
Okay, so
This isn't real.
of,
No.
of the ones that we've discussed, this one you say is a dream. Is the
Yes.
only one that you've said is a dream so far.
I also said the one about my father was a dream.
Yes,
And-
yep,
I'm sorry.
you don't have to answer. I've heard the testimony. This is not a jury you're talking to, Mr. Shapiro.
On 3047, you write, when I was a toddler, about 1 to 2 years old, and yes, I do remember it. My
Yes.
sister and I were babysat by a couple,
Hmm. I know this, yes.
and you go on to explain how
They used to lock us in boxes.
they locked me in boxes.
Yes. I've talked about this with my sister a few times. That's how I confirmed it was true.
Okay, and so this is something you remember, and it happened.
Yes.
That at this daycare center, the people who ran the center would lock up the 24 children
Yes, the
in
kids.
boxes.
I don't know if there's exactly 24, but yes, there was quite a few of us.
And the boxes had strange symbols on them,
No, had moons and stars.
moons and stars.
That's not strange symbols.
Okay, but they had
They were like
those
breathing
symbols.
holes in the box, so you could,
Okay,
you know, and look out.
and all the children were kept there all day.
Yeah. Except for to, I think, go to the bathroom or maybe even eat.
Do you remember the name of the daycare place?
No. Back then, it was the 70s. There wasn't really daycares. It was a person puts an ad in the paper and says, "I take care of children," and people respond to those ads, and that's how it was. It's not the same as it is now.
And you also described, this is on 3026, an entry where you say almost raped at 5.
Yes.
And did that happen?
Yes.
And this was at the McCauslands, or McCauslands?
McCausland.
And this was a babysitter?
It was the babysitter's son.
Okay. But McCausland was the name of the babysitter?
It was, her last name was
Yeah,
the
so this is
babysitter, and
Mrs.
Michael McCausland was her son.
Okay. And your description of what happened is true?
Oh, he molested most of the children there, yes.
Okay. And so, just so I'm clear, with the exception of the one dream involving the man and woman tortured
Yes.
on the wall, and your description of your father in the Incredible Hulk one, these are all true recollections.
Some are dreams, some are memories, yes.
Well, other than
Some
the
were
one-
night terrors based on true events, and some were actually happened, yes.
Okay, but the only one that was not based on a true event is the one where I think you described, this is on 3046. I remember everything just being black, so black.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the night terror, one of them, yes.
I have no further questions.
Okay.
Briefly, Aaron?
Yes.
It won't take long, I promise.
Ms. Vaughn, I'm going to show you, this is the message from
I don't think you,
I'm sorry, what?
the judge did not require voir dire with respect to the text message.
Okay, as long as we have her here, I'm going to allow Mr. Deacon to ask her about the text.
I'm going to show you some text messages that were taken from your phone, date stamped in January 19th, 2015. Just ask you to read those to yourself.
Yes, I remember this.
Do you remember those text messages?
I can't hear.
Do you,
I'm sorry.
just ask her if she remembers those text messages.
I don't remember the messages, but I remember that day. Me and my sister fought this guy.
And did that happen
We pushed him out of the house, actually. Didn't really fight him.
around that time or at a different time?
So it was like the beginning of January? Yeah, I think it was after Christmas that I had gone there, yes.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I think it was after Christmas, yes, I had gone to my sister's because she said she needed my help. This guy was getting drunk and rowdy with her, and
Okay.
And
I went to help her out.
you indicated in the text message that you smashed the top of his forearms because both of his hands were pulling your sister's one hand. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so.
And so I gathered that your sister was present during this entire time.
Yes, so after that happened, we both kind of pushed him out of the house because he was very drunk and getting violent. So that's why she had called me for help. She didn't know who else to call who would come there.
Nothing further.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Bond. You can step down and
I
step
can go to the
outside.
bathroom?
Yes, and we'll call you back in a few minutes.
Thank you.
So, the issue of these journal entries actually came up pre-trial. I actually issued a decision explaining why I did not consider them admissible at that point, although it would depend on what would come out in the testimony. I am even more convinced they're not admissible now that I've had the voir dire from Ms. Bond with respect to the incidents involving the pimp, the customers, the three girls, saving Gina, in which she fought off certain people by her own testimony and corroborated by certain references in the accounts. These occurred 20 to 15 years ago. The most recent was 2008, 2009. So I regard these all as very remote in time, not closely connected in time at all. And I think they are different in kind with regard to the issue at hand, which is her relationship with McCarthy and her fear of a boyfriend. So now that I'm clear as to when these events occurred, there's an additional reason to exclude them, that they're too remote. With regard to the childhood memories, I explained my reasoning for that, and that was also reaffirmed by Ms. Bond's testimony here. These were memories as seen through the eyes of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old. That she said that certain things did happen. It's as she recalled they happened at age 3. And say nothing, in my view, about her state of mind in 2015, nor her credibility as a witness on the stand. So those continue to be excluded, and I think we've made many arguments about, I've heard arguments on both sides of this issue, and I wrote about it, so that's why I'm not inclined to hear any additional arguments.
I'd just like to point out that things are different now, given, number one, the fact that the Commonwealth has made so much of the fact that Ms. Bond was meek, she was submissive, that she was so scared that she couldn't do anything for months and months and months. And the fact that, well, the most recent of these was 2009, I believe she said, but that really doesn't matter because these speak to character, a person's character. There's nothing to indicate that
Character, and character, I don't know if that's appropriate,
well,
that's a basis to introduce evidence.
Given the Commonwealth's theory of the case, that she was submissive, I think we have a right to show what her state of mind is and was, and how she acted on that state of mind in terms of beating up people who were holding her with knives, fighting off people with a 72-inch TV screen. This is not a meek, submissive woman.
Okay.
And that's exactly the point the Commonwealth is making. So by saying we can't talk about these things, you're really tying our hands and giving the Commonwealth just a free hand to have her get up there and say, I was scared, I was afraid,
Well, I think
couldn't do anything."
you've a little bit overstated her testimony. I think she has admitted that she is able to protect herself and has been in a variety of situations in which she was able to do that. My ruling is clear. Nothing I've heard today or from Ms. Bond would cause me to revisit it. You have plenty of material here, and you're going to be able to talk or question Ms. Bond about the 2015 incident that does involve a boyfriend, albeit a boyfriend of her sister. I would point out, by the way, that I excluded, with you making the same arguments on behalf of the defendant, I excluded an incident in which she had witnessed the defendant allegedly knock the teeth out of a drug dealer, and it occurred around the same time of these events, and I did that because I thought the incident did not necessarily, wasn't very probative in terms of how Mr. McCarthy might treat her, and that the prejudice to him was outweighed the probative value. So I think there's even additional reasons here to exclude these incidents involving Ms. Bond.
Have these marked?
Absolutely. In fact, can we do that before we recess at 1 to mark the appropriate things and clarify the record before we leave, but bring the jury back right now? Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm told that the witness has requested a brief break. She needs to use the bathroom, but because she's in custody, she has to go to the 6th floor to use the bathroom there. It's not secure here.
Well, let's hold up the jury down, sorry. So you're saying that she's not available to walk in the courtroom this minute?
Right, she just needs to go to 6 to use the bathroom, which is a secure bathroom.
So I'll take a short recess, and you'll let me know when the witness is ready to come back in.
All right.
We'll hold on.
May be seated. Honorable court is back in session. You may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. There were a few things we needed to discuss, have all those issues resolved, so we're ready for Ms. Bond to resume the witness stand.
Mr. Rodriguez, you can make a move. Copy.
Good afternoon, Ms. Bond. Good afternoon. Ms. Bond, before we broke, I had asked you a series of questions about your life, correct? And you told us that you had been involved in a couple of dangerous occupations.
Yes.
And you had learned to deal with the people you were involved with in those occupations, correct?
Yes.
I didn't ask you, but it's true also that you spent time in jail, in prison.
Yes.
No evidence of prison.
That's sustained. But, there hasn't been any evidence. There's been evidence of convictions. If you want to ask separately if she has been in jail.
That's what I did.
Okay, so you can restate the question.
Okay. You spent time in jail and prison, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
So but I think he's entitled to ask that question separate and apart from whether there was any evidence with respect to this issue here.
Jail and prison. He said it again, jail
Okay.
and prison, and there's no basis for
Okay.
this part of the question.
Okay,
said
I
prison.
think it's jail. So why don't you ask the question, Mr. Shapiro?
Is it true that you spent time in jail?
Yes.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
You have to learn to take care of yourself when you're dealing with other inmates who are, or may be dangerous.
You just learn to stay to yourself and don't get involved in the drama of the whole situation.
But sometimes it does happen.
I've never had to fight in jail.
Okay. But it is fair to say it's a dangerous life.
I guess, yeah.
Now, do you recall an incident in January of 2015 where your sister Tamara called you for help?
Yes.
And Tamara at that time was living in Gardner, Massachusetts?
Yes.
And it's true, is it not, that she called you because she was having trouble with a violent, assaultive boyfriend?
They were getting drunk and he was getting a little aggressive, and she said that she couldn't get him out of her house alone, so she wanted me to see if I could help her.
So you took a cab from Boston to Gardner,
Yes.
and this was in the middle of the night.
It was like 4 in the morning or something.
4 in the morning.
Yeah.
This was a gypsy cab.
Yes.
You use gypsy cabs regularly?
Every once in a great while from grocery shopping or something if I had a lot of stuff, yes.
Okay.
So I had a number for a person that was a gypsy cab.
Okay, and you had a number of gypsy cab numbers in your phone.
I think I had 2.
So in any case, it cost you about $180 to get to Gardner.
Yes.
And when you got there, you were engaged in a physical confrontation with this aggressive, assaultive boyfriend, correct?
We both were.
Okay.
Her
And
her and I.
I'm going to show you a document. These are a series of text messages.
Okay.
Okay. Do these text messages were sent by you to Julie Subs, correct?
To and from.
Yeah.
Yes.
You sent them to Julie Subs and she replied.
Yes.
And she asked you some questions about what had happened.
I told her what had happened.
Okay.
I don't think she
And
asked
so,
me questions.
is this fair to say that this describes what happened?
We were both fighting him, so yeah. Yes.
Okay. I offer this in evidence, Your Honor.
in light of the court's ruling.
Okay,
No
so
grounds
the
for
text,
revoking.
I just want to see the text themselves. Given that she said this accurately reflects what happened, we'll admit it into evidence. This 43.
I'm publishing Exhibit 43. And in the first text message, you say it cost me $180 from Boston to Gardner in a gypsy cab. Ain't that some shit? What is it, Sunday today?
Yes.
And then you go on to say, well, her still wouldn't let go of her hand, and at this point she's saying and starting to cry out, hurts, hurts. This is exactly why I can't stand drunks. You're talking about your sister here.
Yeah, I think it meant he still wouldn't let go of her hands. Yes, but I think that was what it meant.
Okay. You go on to say, I was standing right behind her, telling him to let her go. You are hurting her.
Yes.
So he started telling me to back off, she's fine. Correct?
Yes.
I smashed the top of his forearms, caused both his hands, because both his hands were pulling her one hand.
Because he was pulling, yeah.
So I basically elbowed his top of both forearms to get him to let her go.
Okay, yes.
And so after you got him to let him go by this physical confrontation, what happened next?
At the same time, she was kind of like fighting him and kicking him too. And so once he let go, she started pushing him out the door. And then I helped her push him out the door.
Okay. So you got him out the door.
We did, yes.
She was pregnant at the time?
My sister?
Was she?
No.
No, okay. And then at the last text you say, she needs me now. She had some drunk guy over that she used to date, and they were drunk, and he wouldn't leave, and she was afraid of what he might do to her. That was Sunday morning. No trains run on that day to Fitchburg, so I get there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So on this occasion, you didn't hesitate to go to help your sister when she was in danger. Correct?
No, I took a cab out there.
Yeah, you didn't hesitate to get out there to help your sister when she was in danger.
Yeah.
And you physically confronted some guy who was harassing her.
Yes, we both did, yes.
And this indicates, does it not, the kind of person you are?
Objection is to that.
Same.
But when your own child was involved, you didn't confront what you say or who you say was hurting her, did you?
When I walked in and she already wasn't breathing and was non-responsive, and I tried to, and then he choked me, I didn't have much of a chance. He overpowered me.
And after that, you didn't do anything either, did you?
No.
You just, submissively went to the couch, lay down, and went to sleep.
He choked me and I woke up on the couch.
But then didn't you go to sleep after that?
I passed out after that.
Well, when you say passed out, what makes you say passed out as opposed to going to sleep?
When I said when I got up, I was very dizzy. I was like blacking out. I was in a lot of pain. I didn't have my Suboxone, so I think it had a good effect on me, and I was detoxing at the moment from my Suboxone. And it was a very, I've never seen a child like that before in my life, never mind mine. That's a very hard thing to deal with, mentally, physically, emotionally.
So your excuse now for not doing anything is that you were detoxing?
Objection.
As to the excuses.
Now, after you came to, or you woke up, or whatever, regained consciousness, you were still on the couch,
Yes,
still dark outside.
yes.
And this is the point in time that you say Mr. McCarthy came over and you got a heroin injection.
I said the first time I came to, I went to the bathroom, and he followed me at my side, and waited and followed me back to the couch.
Yeah, that's not what I asked you. I
Oh,
said.
you said when I came
after
to the first
you-
time. That was the first time.
Well, and then we're talking about the second time
Okay.
you went to sleep or lost consciousness or whatever,
Okay.
right? And then when you woke up, Mr. McCarthy, you say, was helping you wake up.
He was like pushing me to my side. Yes.
Okay, and that woke you up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
And
hurt
at
a little
that point, say that
bit.
again?
It hurt a little bit. So he was like.
What,
poking
what
me
was he,
inside.
punching you?
No, he was like poking me. Get up.
Okay.
That hurts in your ribs.
Okay. So you woke up and he came over and he threw down some shoes and gave you a heroin injection.
Yes.
And that made you feel fine.
I don't know about feel fine, but it masked things. Heroin masks your feelings for a lot of things.
Or you say you were detoxing before you went to sleep, right?
Yes, from
You
smoking,
weren't
yes.
feeling well,
Right.
and now you had a heroin injection, so that got rid of the effects of the detoxing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you were your mind was clearer.
I mean, I just did heroin, so I don't know how much clearer it was, but I was up.
And then the only thing that happened after that was that Mr. McCarthy took your arm and led you out of the apartment.
He pulled me to the car, yes.
Excuse me?
Yeah, he pulled me by the arm.
He pulled you by your arm.
Yeah, he said,
But
"Let's
you-
go."
But you went on your own volition.
To some extent, I pulled low because I didn't know what was going on.
He didn't carry you, did he?
No,
He didn't knock you out, did he?
not when we were walking out of
said-
the house, no.
He said, let's go.
And he pulled me by the arm, yes.
Pulled you by the arm. But you're not telling us that if you had pulled away, you couldn't have gotten away.
I pulled a little bit, but it wasn't like a huge struggle,
little bit.
no.
Okay, but then you walked out of your apartment, and there's a neighbor's door right next door to you, right?
Yeah,
Okay. You didn't think, did you, to pound on the neighbor's door and ask for help, did you?
he had my arm.
He
I
had
don't
your
think,
arm.
yeah, he wasn't
Did
letting
you-
me go anywhere.
Did you try to pull away from him?
I just said I tried to pull a little bit, and he pulled.
Yeah. And that
So-
was it? He
Yeah,
pulled a
I
little,
mean-
you pulled a little, and then you walked out?
He pulled me, yeah.
Okay. And then you went to the car. You say, and he opened the door on the passenger side,
Yes.
just like a gentleman.
To put me in the car, I don't know if a gentleman like
Well-
that is.
Did he put you in the car, or did you get in the car?
He pushed me in the car. Get in the car.
Okay. And then he left you, walked around to the other side of the car, right?
Yes.
Nobody was holding you, were they, when he
He
walked
closed
around
the
to the
door.
other side of the
and
car?
walked to the other side, no.
And you weren't bound or gagged, were you?
No.
And yet you say that you just sat there, didn't do anything.
At first, I didn't really know what was going on, like I said. And
Well,
when I looked at him walking around the back of the car, that's when I noticed the bag in the back seat.
okay, so before you noticed the bag in the back seat, you didn't think of jumping out of the car and running away or screaming, did you?
I screamed something when I saw the bag. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember yelling.
Yeah, but I said before you noticed the bag, after he put you into the car and walked
No,
around
I
the other
didn't
side,
scream. No, you're
you
right.
didn't think, I should get out of here.
No, I didn't scream or run.
You didn't try to get out of the car,
No.
and nobody was holding you in the car at that
No.
point, were they?
No.
So that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? You say you had just seen him kill your daughter?
Yes.
And here you are sitting out on a city street. You don't know when it is, other than it's dark.
Right, it's late, yeah,
And-
when it was.
Other than it's dark, right? And so instead of just sitting there, why didn't you open the door, get out, and scream bloody murder?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have an answer for that. I was
Was it
scared.
a
I was
mistake?
scared of this man. Oh yeah,
Mistake.
I was scared of this man, and I've said this from the beginning. I am ashamed of not calling the police or yelling out or doing what I should have done. And every second after he killed her went by, it was too late.
Right.
Right.
Too late to do
And it just
anything.
snowballed into a bad effect.
And it was, of course, too late to even try to help her when you started to do CPR.
What do you mean?
Well,
I tried CPR to try
obviously-
and bring her back. How is that
obviously,
too?
you didn't think it was too late because you tried to revive her.
Of course, you're going to try and revive someone
Okay.
that's dead right there.
Don't you think if that were really true, it would have been better to get somebody else to try to revive her who knew what he or she was doing?
It is true.
Okay, so I'll let the answer stand, but both Ms. Bond and Mr. Shapiro, you need to wait until the other person is finished talking. So Mr. Shapiro, wait till she's finished answering the question before you interrupt, and same thing, Ms. Bond, wait till he finishes asking.
Now, when you're sitting in the car, you say you saw the bag, duffel bag in the back seat,
Yes.
and you do remember that when you talked to the police back in September of 2015, you said that he put the bag in the trunk.
Yes.
Mistake?
Yes. It was in the back seat. How did I see it in the trunk? It was in the back seat.
Mistake?
Yes.
You were too clouded by drugs?
But it
Was that it?
I was getting a general story out of them.
Too scared?
It is a scary thing.
So all of
I
these
can't-
things together made you tell the police that the bag was in the trunk, and now, for the first time, you remember it's in the back seat.
This isn't the first time. And like I said before, when I was I wasn't in a good place when I spoke to the police the first time. I've had more time to reflect on it and clearer-minded, definitely clearer-minded. So traumatic situations like that are very hard.
Right. And so you make mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
It also is hard to keep a false story straight, isn't it?
My story's been the same since the beginning.
You know, do you not, Ms. Bond,
My
that it
pictures.
wouldn't make sense for anybody to drive through the middle of Boston with a dead body in the back seat of their car, would it?
It doesn't make sense, but that's what happened.
But that's what you now claim happened.
It is what happened.
Now, again, about the incident in the car, you say that you saw the bag in the back seat,
Yes.
you screamed,
Yes.
and he knocked you unconscious.
Yes.
So this is what?
He hit me in the
1,
side of the head, yes.
2, 3. This is the third time he knocked you unconscious, or the third time you lost consciousness since what you say happened.
The first time he choked me, and the second time he hit me in the head. Yes.
And then there was a time in between where you just lost consciousness on your
I
own.
just passed out on the couch, yes.
It's convenient, isn't it, that every time there's a hole in your story and you can't really explain what happened, you say you lost consciousness.
I'm telling you,
Hold on, wait a minute. Objection, Mrs. Singh.
Well, you claim you became unconscious after you say that Mr. McCarthy threatened to kill you, right?
he choked me.
That's the first time you claim that you became unconscious.
He choked me till I blacked out, yes.
And so, because you were unconscious, you can't explain why you didn't go for help, scream, dial 911 or anything, right? Because you were unconscious.
Yeah, how do you do something when you're not...
And then, when you're in the living room, you became unconscious again, and you can't explain what happened for an hour, 2 hours, a day, or even more, while you were in the house, but you can't say what happened because you were unconscious.
Yes, I was on the couch, not coherent of anything going on.
And now you're unconscious in the car.
Yes, he hit me.
And he hit you with his hand, you said.
Yes, I think so.
Do you know how hard it is to knock somebody unconscious by hitting them with a hand?
No, I don't. And he had a mallet in his hand too, so I don't.
Well, which is it? You're going to come up with
No, he
now a
brought one
story
out.
that he had a hammer in his hand?
I said mallet, but he had a hammer in the car too,
Well,
and a mallet and a
which
knife.
is it? What are you going to tell us now? Did he hit you with a hammer or a mallet
No, I think
or
it was
his
his hand,
hand?
but he did have one with him for me. So that's a scary thing to go through too, when you got a person that's much bigger than you with a weapon in their hand threatening you. He wouldn't.
You told us that he never had a weapon in his hand, didn't you?
I never got brought up about
I
having
asked
a
you
weapon in his hand.
specifically, at any time, did Mr. McCarthy had a weapon? And you told us no. Now you're saying he
never
had a
asked me
weapon
that.
in his hand?
He would ask that question about in the house.
Okay, so hold on. It's for the jury to recall what the testimony was. And I again remind both of you, please do not interrupt each other.
Sorry
I
about that.
cannot hear the answers, and I cannot hear the question. So let's back up a little bit, and you can ask the question again without being argumentative or getting into a debate about what she said earlier, okay?
Are you telling us that Mr. McCarthy had a hammer or a mallet in his hand? Yes or no?
On the way out of the house, yes.
On the way out of the house?
Yes.
Where did he get this hammer or mallet?
I don't know.
But you're telling us he didn't hit you with it, did he?
No, I don't think so, no.
You said he hit you with his hand.
Yes.
Okay. And so, being unconscious, you don't know what happened after that, do you?
No.
Are
He drove
Are you
somewhere.
asking me? Well,
No, I don't know which, he drove somewhere after
Well,
that.
once you were unconscious, you didn't see or hear what happened after that, right?
No,
Okay. And when you regained consciousness, he wasn't even in the car.
no.
You were alone again.
He was outside the car.
Well, you didn't see him when you got out, when you woke up, did you?
No,
Okay, so you woke up in the car, you say, you're all alone, and Mr. McCarthy's not there,
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. You didn't get out, did you?
No.
You didn't run for help, did you?
I didn't even know where we were. It looked like it's like a big open area. I had no idea where we were.
Right. So you'd rather stay with the person who you say had just killed your daughter than try to get out of the car and run away wherever you were.
He had just killed my daughter. And,
Right.
no, I was
That's
scared
what you
that he
said.
might be right there. No, I was scared that he'd be right there to get me.
But-
At every
but-
turn.
But you didn't see him.
No, not right away.
And you didn't want to try to get away at that time, you say.
I was scared of him. So he could be right behind me for all I know.
Are you also going to tell us that you were dizzy?
No, not at that time, no.
Are you going to tell us that you were detoxing?
No, I had gotten a shot of heroin, remember?
Are you going to tell us that your mind was clouded by the heroin?
To some extent, yes. Drugs will cloud your mind, yes.
Which excuse is it that you didn't get out of the car?
I'm sorry, as to the phrase excuse, that's sustained.
Now, do you remember that when you talked to the police on September 18th, you described what happened after Mr. McCarthy after you said Mr. McCarthy dragged you and the bag out of the house.
I said he dragged me out of the house. Yes.
Okay, do you recall on page 17, line 18 through the bottom?
Refer you again here to the transcript of the interview with police.
Yes. On September 18th, you talked to the police about what happened with the bag and the car, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the question you were asked by the police officers on line 16 is, so he took the bag that he took her out of the house in. What kind of a bag was that? Answer, a green bag he got out the closet. My duffel bag. He put her in that after. That's how he carried her out. Question, in a green duffel bag? Answer, well, yeah. Question, a duffel bag? Like an army bag. Answer, like an army bag. Okay. Answer, that's what it was. That's what I use it for. That's what I use it for. And then on the next page, laundry, and he found it in the closet. He took and put her in it. I didn't see her because she was in a plastic bag. Oh, in a plastic bag inside the duffel bag. I couldn't look at that. Are you kidding me? Question, did he put her in a car? Put her a car? Answer, his car. Question, his car? Where? Where in the car? Answer, in the trunk. Question, in the trunk? And then who drove? Answer, he did. Remember that?
Yes.
That's what you told him, right?
Yes.
So you told the police that you saw Mr. McCarthy putting a plastic bag where you thought Bella was into a duffel bag and putting it in the trunk of his car, right? That's what
I didn't see it, no.
That's what you told him, though.
I didn't say I saw it.
Well, didn't you
I said that
say-
I saw the green bag, that it was in my closet, that's where he got it out of.
And didn't you
Yes,
say
and he had put her in there, yes.
you saw him putting Bella in a plastic bag in the duffel bag?
No, I didn't say I saw her. I saw him, excuse me.
And then you told the police you saw him putting it in the trunk of his car.
Nowhere on here does it say I saw that.
Well, why did you think it was in the trunk of the car when you said, did he put her in a car? Answer, his car. Question, his car? Where? Where in the car? Question. Answer, in the trunk. So, if you didn't see him putting it in the trunk, why did you tell the police that the duffel bag in which Bella was in a plastic bag was in the trunk?
I meant to say the back seat. When I saw it, it was in the back seat. I couldn't have seen it in the trunk.
And, in fact, you didn't tell us that you saw him bringing anything out to the car, did you?
I just said I didn't see that.
Okay,
He brought me out after. And I saw her in the back seat in the bag.
but that's not what you told the police, was it?
Yes.
Did you
I said
tell-
the trunk. I made a mistake, yes. It was in the back seat in the bag. She was, excuse me.
Did you see him putting a plastic bag in the duffel bag?
No, I didn't see any of it.
That's what you just told the police, isn't it?
That's what the statement says. But I didn't see any of that.
So
I saw on the
this
news that
was-
last day
this
that she was in one. And that's how I knew that she was inside a plastic bag in the duffel bag. We're talking about 3 months later. I've also put together my own assumptions about what he might have done from things that I've seen. It's not, and then that day that I talked to the police, I saw it on the news and that's how I knew. So yes, he did put her in a plastic bag and then in the duffel bag. What I saw in the back seat was the duffel bag.
Finished?
Yes.
But you told the police on September 18th that you saw him putting the plastic bag in the duffel bag.
I didn't say I saw it. I said he did.
Now, when you became conscious again on when you woke up after he knocked you out in the car, you told us that he was gone, right?
Yes.
The duffel bag was gone.
Yes. The weights were gone.
What weights?
The weights he had in the back of the car.
Where were the weights?
On the floor.
So when did you see that?
When I had gotten in the car.
And do you remember that and this is calling your attention to when you woke up and nobody was there, okay. The weights in the duffel bag were gone.
Yes.
So you didn't see what happened to that, did you?
No, not exactly, no.
And do you remember telling the police, and this is page 19, on lines 11 and 12, you told them that he put the weights in the bag and brought her to the water.
Because that's what he did.
Well,
I didn't have to
did
see
you
that
see it?
to. No, I didn't have to see that to know that's what he did.
Okay.
The water
So-
was there, the weights were gone, the bag, she was gone, he was gone. Yeah, and then on the news, she had washed up. That's what I saw that day. So putting it all together, that's what he did.
Okay. That's what you think he did, right?
He did do it.
Well, you didn't see him do it, did you?
Nobody else did it.
Well, look, Ms. Bond, we can spar all day. My question is, did you see him put weights in the bag, yes or no?
No, I didn't see it. No, you're right.
Did you tell the police that he put weights in the bag?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You didn't tell the police that you assumed it, did you?
No, I didn't say that.
Did you see him drop the bag in the water, yes or no?
No, I did not.
Did you tell the police that he dropped the bag in the water?
Yes.
You didn't tell them that you assumed it, did you?
No.
So all of these things that you told the police were your assumptions, things that were made up.
No, it's fact.
Well,
It happens.
Fact, are all of your assumptions fact?
This happened.
So, in any case, none of that did you see.
No.
And it was all part of the story you told the police.
It was the truth. Yes.
Now, did you tell the police how you had gotten to the area where you claim that you assume that Mr. McCarthy put weights in the bag and dropped the bag in the water?
I said he drove the car.
Did you describe how he got there?
He drove.
Well, did you describe the direction he went and the things that you went past before you got there?
No, I remember on the way out there was a road, there was a bus, and a little building.
But that wasn't my question. My question was, did you describe to the police how he got to the place?
No, I don't think so. I remember saying where it was, yes.
And of course, you couldn't describe it because you say you were unconscious, right?
Yes, on the way out is when I saw everything. Excuse me.
This is on page 19. You were asked how you got to where you went. Remember that? You remember
Yes, yes.
The police asked you,
I'm
right?
reading it, yes. I see it.
And they say, okay, and you say, I was too scared. All I know is he drove down back and the buses, there was a bus there. Answer a question like a T-bus. And you said, yeah, and he drove it down back. There was like a little building, I think, and a bus, and he drove behind it. Excuse me, and it looked like, it looks like maybe there was a wharf over a ways.
Yes.
Remember that? So you were talking about what it looked like as he drove there.
Like I just said, when I came to and he wasn't in there, I noticed the wharf. And as he was driving out, I noticed the T-bus in front of the building.
Okay.
So
you didn't say you noticed those things when you were driving out, did you?
no, I said that he drove there. That's what was there.
And
Yes.
and you told them that's what you saw when he drove there.
I said that he drove there, and that is what I saw when we were leaving. So putting it all together, yes, that's where we were. That's where he
Again.
drove behind that, because that's where we were.
Again, you're telling the police things that you didn't see, but you're just assuming, right?
No, I'm explaining to them the area.
Now, when you drove back to Maxwell Street, you drove through some of the busiest parts of South Boston and Dorchester, didn't you?
I guess I really wasn't paying attention. I was appalled.
So you weren't watching where you were?
I wasn't driving, so I really wasn't. No, I was.
You weren't looking out for a police car? who
I
you
wasn't
could
looking for
maybe-
anything. My mind was in a totally different area. No, I wasn't looking for anything.
You weren't looking for a police car?
I wasn't looking for anything. My head was down. I wasn't looking for anything.
Didn't occur to you that this might be a good time to escape?
No, like I said, anytime after what happened, it just seemed like the worst.
Well, this is right after it happens,
Yeah.
according to you, right?
Yes.
And you're still not thinking, I gotta get out of here?
He's sitting right next to me. I'm scared.
Well, he
I mean, this
stopped at
man is a
red-
scary person.
Stopped at red lights, didn't he?
I don't even know. I wasn't paying any attention.
Okay. So you really didn't care enough to try to get away?
Didn't say I didn't care.
But you didn't?
I did care.
But
It has nothing to do with being scared and trying to get away.
You didn't try to escape?
No, I didn't try to escape.
Now, you had a cell phone with you at the time, didn't you?
No, I didn't have
Well,
anything.
You had Dee's phone.
I didn't have anything with me.
Do you remember?
He probably
Yeah.
had the cell phone.
Do you remember yesterday I showed you your cell phone records?
Yes.
And you remember
His cell phone records,
that you
yes.
had calls made on Dee's phone every day of June.
I had one cell phone number on there that I recognized, and that was to my friend Julie, and that was on the 12th. No, I didn't have that phone.
Well, what were you using on June 1st?
His phone, his welfare phone.
Dee's phone is the welfare phone. right?
Yes, it's his welfare phone.
And
yes.
he got it because of welfare, right?
No, anybody can get one of those phones. It's a free phone. They are on the streets on Mass Ave giving them out. They're at DTA giving them out. Anybody that says claims they're homeless can get that phone.
Didn't you tell us yesterday it was his father's phone?
He gave that to his father to use. That's why I said Dee's phone. It was Dad's.
Which is it? Was it his phone? Was it his
His
father's
phone.
phone?
His phone. He let his father use for a while. And when his phone turned off, he took it back to use.
And do you know that his father never used or had a cell phone?
Yes, that's why he gave him that phone to use.
And
I don't know when he gave it to him. None of my business. I just
well,
know that he
then
took it back from him.
What were you doing with it on June 1st?
He gave it to me when he leave the house sometimes.
What were you doing with it on June 2nd?
I just told you, he'd give it to me once in a while when he'd leave the house.
So
And not
on
always.
On June 1st, on June 2nd, on June 3rd, all of the days we went down yesterday where there were calls from Dee's phone, you had the phone.
No. The one call that was actually made to a phone number I knew was on the 11th or 12th.
And
That was the one number on there I even recognized.
the reason that you don't know and you can't tell this jury when what you say actually happened is because if you did, the authorities would be able to figure out where you were and who you were calling, right?
I didn't even think about the
Well,
phone. So no, I'm not tech savvy. I don't think about those things like that. No.
Well, you know that there are things that are called cell site locations, don't you?
Okay, yes.
And when a phone is used, it bounces off a cell site.
Yes.
And so if you remembered when you claim this happened, we'd be able to know where you were.
It's
Wouldn't
his
we?
phone. It's not always with me. So when he's using it, how is it going to say where I am?
But he had a phone, didn't he?
That he didn't always pay for.
Uh,
So sometimes it would be off.
And when his phone was on, he had a phone that he used, right?
Yes, when it was on. And then when it
Yeah.
wasn't, he would use that cell phone because that was his too.
Now, the next, you say the next day after you went to this place that you've described, he went to the methadone clinic,
He brought me to the methadone clinic, yes.
and you went with him.
Yes,
And when you say
he
he
woke
brought
me
you,
up to go.
Did he tie you up?
No, he had me go with him. You're coming with me.
Okay. And you got to the methadone clinic. I think Mr. Deacon asked you, there were a lot of people there, weren't there?
Yeah, I guess.
There's a security officer at the methadone clinic.
Yeah, it was usually inside, yes.
Yeah, And he went in to get his dose?
Yes.
Did he take you with him?
No, I wasn't allowed in.
All right, so he went in alone,
Yes.
and you were sitting out in the car.
Yes.
This is daytime.
This is like 5:45 in the morning. He'd go to the work line so he could be out in 2 seconds.
Okay.
It literally
But there-
takes a minute.
But there are a lot of people around, right?
Somewhat.
Because a lot of people go to the clinic at that time before work to get their dose, right?
Not a lot of people work that are on the clinic, so there's not a lot. But there are people there, yes.
Okay, there are
Yes.
people there. He left you in the car.
Yes.
This is the day after you claim that he had disposed of your daughter's body.
Yes.
He goes into the clinic. You didn't do anything, did you? You just waited.
Yes. With his dog,
You
yes, I
didn't
waited.
Get in touch with the security officer who was at the door of the clinic.
They're inside usually, so I'm not allowed inside
Right.
because I don't go to that clinic. So
Don't you think that if you had screamed that you need help, that maybe the security officer would have helped you?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No.
And it didn't even occur to you to try, did you?
No, I was very scared. No.
You- The next day, when he went to the clinic, did you go with him?
Yes.
All right, same thing. He goes in, you wait in the car? Don't do anything.
I'm not protesting the fact that
Did-
I didn't call
my
emergency
question is-
services. I didn't. That's my failure, my shame, my fault.
Right, and that's what you're telling us now.
It's been that this whole time. I didn't call emergency services.
Well-
I'm not contesting that.
You didn't call.
No.
Was it a conscious decision not to do anything?
It was a lot of things together. I was scared of him. I was scared of what happens. I was traumatized. I'm using heavily now. It was a lot of different factors added together.
What do you mean, the next morning you were using heavily?
Yeah, right away. What do you mean?
Well, the next morning was...
He calls his
He
dealer
said he
first
had
thing in the
given-
morning.
He said he had given you an injection.
That night,
Right.
yes,
Okay. Then the next morning you go to the clinic.
he get up, use heroin, go to the clinic
Okay. So
every day.
you weren't detoxing.
No, not at that point. No, I was actually getting really high at that point.
And so everything was
We were both
hunky,
heavy.
everything was hunky-dory in your life.
Oh no, not at all. We were both heavily using at that point.
Do you happen to remember what day it was that you went to the clinic that next morning?
No, he went every morning, almost every morning.
You don't remember the day of the week?
No, I don't remember. I have said that I don't remember this whole time.
Now, you've told us, let's back that, the reason that you never sought help at any of these times is because you didn't need help.
Oh, I did. I didn't seek it. Yes,
didn't-
I'm not protesting that at all.
You didn't need help, and you didn't want to go to the authorities, did you?
I did and I didn't.
Well, you didn't want to go to the authorities because you knew if you did, that they would find out that you were responsible for killing Bella.
No, not at all. He did kill Bella.
Would this be a good time to break to the day?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll remind you, tomorrow's a full day, so I appreciate you getting here on time. We'll start at 9. We'll take a lunch break between 1 and 2, and then we'll go into the afternoon between 2 and 4. I want to again remind you of my instructions, which are very important, that you not talk about this case with anyone, that you refrain from reading any news reports or listening to anything on TV about this case, and that would include researching on the internet, because it's important you base your verdict on the evidence you hear in this courtroom together. Also, refrain from doing any other independent investigation, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Court, all rise, please. Chris, you can leave your notes right on those chairs. Can you step down for me, please?